while ago, we were exploring the insurance space a little bit. And what he said was, one way to go about this is potentially go to an existing insurance company, like an old school insurance company, find whoever's in charge of their like innovation arm, because generally these companies have something like that just to like stay on top of things, and they have some sort of budget. And maybe you can get them to underwrite like your protocol. And so you, at the end of the day, you can have your DeFi thing insured by another like DeFi insurance, and then insured by like traditional finance insurance.
That's interesting. I will say that Quantset may or may not help protocols work with brokers and insurers. And I will tell you that insurers will not even touch Compound right now, right? And so I do think we have some ways for insurers to kind of understand this, because there's no bearing on what a risk model looks like. And so I'm hoping that would be really cool where an insurer can backstop it, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. And that's why I do think some permissionless thing does make sense. I do think, though, if we think insurance is an important primitive in the crypto space, to scale it, you will need centralized insurance companies. Because the way I think about insurance is actually it's just sales and marketing, right? Like you just need an army of people selling this. I don't know necessarily if there is a world where permissionlessly people are just buy on their own. That might be a hot take, but you know, we talk to a lot of insurers about this, and I think about this a lot, and it's just unclear to me if or how a decentralized protocol would be able to sort of sell this to people, right? Unless it is somehow like the Stripe of blockchain insurance somehow. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I will welcome that day for sure.
I think the fact that these insurance companies are not even willing to touch Compound just shows how much of an opportunity there is, because you know, it makes sense because it's not their niche or whatever, but they're definitely overestimating the risk. And I think there's a huge opportunity for someone who does understand the risk to create some sort of risk framework and to start like underwriting these things.
I'd love to reset the room real quick and bring up something that I thought was really interesting from 2 nights ago when Mark Andreessen and Horowitz were talking and doing a little one-on-one. They talked a little bit about crypto, talked a little bit about adoption, and they had basically talked about how perhaps crypto had already had their Netscape moment where people could realize, oh shit, you can build, you know, cool stuff. But they contrasted that to saying, well, that's different than the iPhone moment, right? When you can kind of have a killer app or some sort of platform like that. I'd love to ask getting the panelists here and everyone, you know, on stage, if we were to hypothesize, and this is kind of in the same vein of like, what does mass adoption look like? But if we were to hypothesize and just kind of like think big here, like what could be some of those like iPhone moments? So either thinking about it from a time perspective or thinking about it as a use case perspective. Would love to get anyone's thoughts.
I think it's a tough question, and I don't know what the iPhone moment could be, but like maybe an alternative world is there is no need for an iPhone moment, and maybe crypto just powers the back end of things. And like end users don't have to know that it exists at all.
So yeah, I mean, to put it back to you though, like what is that killer app then where you just have the decentralized backend and you have a centralized interface? Like, is it something where someone does take like a Uniswap and just puts like a Robinhood front end, or you know, is there something more to it?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Like all, I think like all of Wall Street is essentially being rebuilt on Ethereum. Like, well, that's what DeFi is, right? Decentralized finance. So I think we could see a world where like you have a Charles Schwab type thing and you use it to manage your IRA or your 401k or whatever. And in the back end, like everything's being settled on the blockchain. One other cool thing is kind of tangential, but one thing that's really cool about DeFi, specifically the lending platforms, is that you never need to have assets that are like unproductive, because you can just deposit them into Compound or Aave or whatever and earn some yield on it. Meanwhile, in the traditional finance world, you're giving up those rights to whatever brokerage you're depositing your funds with, and then they're lending it out and they're making a profit off it. And it almost reminds me of like Facebook profiting off your data without you knowing about it. It's like brokerages are profiting off your stocks that you're just holding without you knowing about it. And it also it can have this like weird conflict of interest sometimes, where if you're really long on something and they're lending it out to people who are shorting the stock, then it's just like a weird situation there, right? So I think with DeFi, you have like a lot more control over how your assets are being used, and you can reap the benefits of your own assets by lending them out.
You know, one thing I would love to see, if we want to just expand this out to not just about DeFi, but also maybe about NFTs and art and, you know, what that intersection looks like. One thing I'm really, really excited to see is this NFT art type space pop up, not only because of the, you know, digital aspect of it, but one thing, you know, I want to start seeing is what new interactions you can get from a financial perspective with NFTs or art or culture, right? One sort of thing I always think about is like, oh my God, what if you were able to get like, you know, Bitcoin on DeFi and you could borrow against it? But like, imagine if you can like borrow against your own art, right? Or other type of NFTs that people just think hold value, and sort of like what that liquidity unlocks, whether that's, you know, kept in Ethereum or blockchain or taken out. I think that's going to be really, really cool. And frankly, I have no idea what that world's going to look like. But, you know, I wonder for any of the more creator types or folks who have thought more about this from a creator lens, thinks about that. I don't know if Wow is on or anyone else, but would love to see if anyone to chime in there.
I'd love to hear from Dennis. He's building a mirror, like a decentralized medium. It'd be cool to, you know, take a loan against your essay. Maybe it looks like he's not online.
Yeah, well, you know, let's keep this going here. If anyone wants to,
hey guys.
Hey, what's up, Raul?
Hey, Raul from Prismatic Labs here. We're one of the teams building out ETH2. Yeah, just curious if anyone here has any questions about Ethereum 2.0, anything, either roadmap, like how it works, developing it. Yeah, we're here. We also have.
I'm here. I'm hanging
Ivan
out.
already left. Yeah. Oh, you're here. Okay, cool. Sorry, I missed you. Yeah, we also have Ivan here from the team. So, yeah, if anyone's just curious about this.
Are any of the mods on?
I don't think they are. Austin is still on here, but it seems like he's AFK. But yeah, anyone raising their hands might not be able to join. Maybe.
Yeah, we need the mods.
Maybe we can try a new room or something.
Fork the room.
Hi, can I ask a question? I've been kind of waiting for a while.
Go ahead.
All right, so we've been kind of poking around the subject all day around like gas fees and why they're so high, but I don't think I've yet to hear exactly like what's working under the hood that makes gas fees so high. I don't understand if it's just purely because there's so many people trying to get like transactions confirmed, or if it's because there's a lack of miners, or just because, you know, Ethereum is simply, you know, we're working on, or you guys are working on layer 2 solutions and things like that. So can you just give me like a dumb it down, like why exactly are gas fees so high?
Well, the fees increase because there's people willing to pay them, right? If there's no one willing to pay for it, then they wouldn't go higher. Like there's like a economic equilibrium almost where like it doesn't go above like 500 gwei, which is obscene, right? But the amount of transactions coming in do slow down when it reaches above a certain point. But yeah, I mean, people are paying it because they see value on the network, you know? And there's also like, it's not as simple as just like the amount of people using it. Like it's about the amount of infrastructure built around it. Like it's not just each contract interaction isn't like a standard send ETH to you transaction, right? Like a contract transaction can cost up to 100 times more than what a standard ETH transaction should cost because of how much it's changing the chain, the state tree, the everything else around it. You know, there's plenty of miners on the network. The issue isn't them. The issue is just that there's only so much block space, and there's a lot of people who find this block space very, very valuable, and are transacting a lot of volume that they're willing to pay, you know, this gas fee to transact whatever they need to be.
Okay, understood. May I ask another question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I remember a couple months ago on Twitter, I don't know, I think all the Bitcoin maximalists were kind of talking about how um, there is no way to audit the supply of Ethereum. And I know like that's very important to, I guess, like the Bitcoin maximalists with 20 million coins. So I just want to know, is that like FUD or is that legitimate that it's extremely hard to accurately audit the entire Ethereum supply?
Well, it's not necessarily you can write a script to tell, right? Like there is a track log you can follow, but the thing is, it works better in Bitcoin's model because of the way their state is structured. In Ethereum's model, you would literally need like a variable as part of the state that every node has to maintain. That's just called total supply and is incremented every position where there is ETH minted. And there's several situations where there is ETH made, like from the block, from orphan blocks, a few other situations. Um, it could have been possible when they made ETH, but it also would have been an additional structure in the state, something that was additionally maintained every time. You could always just write a script and get what the supply is by, you know, reading through every block. It's certainly possible. It's not like it's impossible to know how much Ethereum there is. Sure, it's not exactly to the pinpoint as Bitcoin, right? But it is definitely possible.
Okay, now would you happen to know or like have a rough estimate like what the script would say the Ethereum supply is right now or will ever be?
You can check Etherscan. It'll be on there. I don't have a number in my head. And it also, once EIP 1559 merges in, tracking the supply is going to be nearly impossible. I mean, it'll be possible in the same method, but it'll be like there will be no consistent monetary policy. And this is something that, you know, Ethereans really just don't mind. It's something that's important to Bitcoiners because that's like where their whole religion, I mean, crypto is religion, so I'm just to say the word religion, that's where their whole religion relies on, you know, the supply integrity of their token. And Ethereum, it's valuable to us as well, but it's not necessarily like something held up to scrutiny as Bitcoiners are, because that's where they focus the majority of the value, you know?
Okay, understood. And I have one final question, if you don't mind.
Feel free.
Okay, so going back to the fees, the gas fees topic. So I do understand that there are like other projects, some centralized and then some trying to aim to be decentralized, but and also, you know, like upgrades to Ethereum itself. But in your opinion, at the moment, if you're trying to, you know, I guess trade on Uniswap or whatever, and you're trying to get the lowest fee, what would be your suggestion in terms of should I use Binance Smart Chain? Should I use I don't know, I think it's called Solana or Serum, one of those things, and or should I just use like a layer 2 solution like Loopring or something like that? I'm not exactly sure how to navigate that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely familiar. Maybe someone can answer. There is XDAI does have a AMM on them like Uniswap. I'm not sure how liquid it is, how much volume it has. There's also options like 1 inches limit orders but they take the transaction fee out of what you receive, right? So you still are paying it in some form. For directly on chain, it is difficult because you are going to be on chain. You know, I'm not familiar myself with layer 2s or other chains, so maybe someone else can answer that question. It would also be nice if we could accept people from the chat. I don't think we have any other bots in here.
All right, well, that's all right. Thank you for taking your time to explain to me. And if any of the other moderators could get back to me regarding that question, I would appreciate it, because I really do. I really would like to know a better solution to the higher gas fees in terms of whether that's layer 2s or any other centralized project or things like that. But thank you again for your time.
No problem.
Do you guys know of any decentralized like social media platforms that are, or projects that are kind of being that are like in the works on Ethereum?
I'm familiar with PPEth, but they're a little bit older. I don't know any others though.
Yeah, I guess I have like another kind of related question. Like how far off do you guys think kind of like Web3 applications are from being from kind of having like maybe like a DeFi summer type of moment?
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, like maybe like a file coin, or like I mentioned with like a decentralized social media, like some kind of like I guess like what's kind of like a killer app for like Web3.
Yeah, there's a few that I've played around, like Filecoin, like you said. Yeah, I mean, maybe they need to do some yield farming, like usage farming. Maybe like, I don't know, incentivize the users some way, maybe like retroactive airdrops or something, because that's what worked for DeFi Summer, right? Yeah, as of right now, I don't think there's enough options at the moment for that to be considered.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can migrate to another room, because there's probably a lot of people interested in talking, but we literally can't let them in. Well, I'm gonna hop off, but if anybody wants to keep talking, please start another room, because we don't have any permissions here anymore. See you, everyone.